London weeps in the autumn rain. Not the gentle, melancholic drizzle of poetry, but a cold, relentless deluge that turns cobblestones into mirrors, reflecting a city's darkest secrets. In the shadowed corners of Whitechapel, where gaslight barely penetrates the fog, something ancient and hungry has awakened. Not a beast of flesh and fang, but something far more terrifying. A mind unshackled from the prison of human morality. The first body arrives at Scotland Yard in pieces. Not scattered pieces, mind you, but arranged with such meticulous care that the morgue attendant vomits 3 times before he can complete his initial examination. The victim has been disassembled and reconstructed into a tableau vivant of human suffering. Limbs positioned at impossible angles, organs delicately placed like offerings on an altar. The face frozen in an expression that suggests the victim remained conscious far longer than mercy should have allowed. But it's the eyes that haunt Detective Inspector Lestrade's nightmares. They've been removed, cleaned, and placed on either side of the reconstructed corpse, watching, always watching, as if the killer wanted the victim to witness their own transformation from human being into grotesque art. The crime scene photographs spread across the desk at 221B Baker Street tell a story that makes even Sherlock Holmes pause. Not in horror, that particular emotion atrophied in him years ago, but in recognition. This is no ordinary murder. This is an invitation. Beautiful, isn't it? Sherlock's voice cuts through the silence like a scalpel through flesh. His pale fingers trace the edges of the photograph, and for a moment, John Watson wonders if his friend has finally crossed that invisible line between brilliant and insane. Beautiful. Sherlock, that's a human being who is transformed into something transcendent. Sherlock interrupts, his eyes gleaming with an intensity that makes Watson's blood run cold. Look at the precision, John, the care. This isn't butchery. This is surgery performed by hands that understand the divine architecture of the human form. Someone spent hours with this victim. Someone who wanted them to feel every moment. The rain hammers against the windows of Baker Street, and somewhere in the darkness of London, something laughs. The shadow consoles. Hannibal Lecter sits in his immaculately appointed office, fingers steepled beneath his chin, watching the rain paint patterns on his window. His office smells of old leather, expensive cologne, and something else, something metallic and organic that his patients never quite identify but always makes them uncomfortable. On his desk lies a newspaper, folded to reveal the headline, Whitechapel Horror, Yard baffled by ritualistic murder. His lips curve into something that might be mistaken for a smile if one didn't look too closely at his eyes. Those eyes ancient, patient, utterly devoid of anything resembling human. Warmth reflects the storm outside. His secretary announces a visitor, Detective Inspector Lestrade, looking haggard and desperate. The inspector doesn't notice the way Dr. Lecter's pupils dilate slightly, the way a predator's might when prey wanders into its den. Dr. Lecter, thank you for seeing me on such short notice, Lestrade says, collapsing into the offered chair. We need your expertise. This case, it's unlike anything we've encountered. I've read about it, Hannibal replies, his voice cultured, refined, utterly reasonable. Quite extraordinary. The killer possesses both surgical knowledge and artistic sensibility. A rare combination. We've brought in a consultant. Sherlock Holmes. Perhaps you've heard of him. For the briefest moment, so quick that Lestrade misses it, entirely something flickers across. Hannibal's face, hunger, excitement, recognition. I've followed his work with great interest, Hannibal says softly. He sees what others cannot. A truly remarkable mind. He thinks the killer will strike again soon, within days. We were hoping you might review the case files, give us a profile. I would be delighted to assist, Hannibal interrupts, standing and moving to the window. In the reflection, his smile grows wider, revealing too many teeth. In fact, I insist upon it. This killer, I suspect I understand them rather well. That night, as London sleeps uneasily beneath a blanket of fog, a second body appears. This one is found in Westminster, arranged in the shadow of Big Ben. The victim has been positioned as if in prayer, but their hands have been removed and replaced with those of another person entirely. The victim's own hands are found later, miles away, clutching a note written in elegant script. Shall we play, Mr. Holmes? I do hope you're as brilliant as they say. It would be such a disappointment to find you... common. The dance begins. Sherlock doesn't sleep for 3 days. His violin screams through the night, creating sounds that aren't quite music, but rather the auditory manifestation of a mind consuming itself in pursuit of truth. John Watson watches his friend deteriorate, sees the way Sherlock's hands tremble not from exhaustion but from excitement. He's talking to me, John, Sherlock whispers, his voice hoarse from lack of sleep. Every murder is a message. Look at the positioning, it's theatrical, yes, but more than that. It's educational. He's teaching me his language. The walls of 221B have become a shrine to madness. Photographs, maps, newspaper clippings, all connected by red string that looks disturbingly like arterial spray. In the center of this web is a single word, written in Sherlock's increasingly erratic handwriting, WHY. The third victim arrives 5 days later. A respected art critic, found in the Tate Gallery after hours, suspended from the ceiling by piano wire threaded through their vertebrae. They've been flayed with such precision that their skin hangs beside them like a discarded coat, revealing the intricate musculature beneath. The positioning suggests they were alive for most of the process, but it's what's written on the gallery wall in the victim's blood that makes Sherlock's breath catch. Art is suffering given form. Do you see yet, Mr. Holmes? Or are you still blind? Dr. Lecter visits the crime scene, invited by Lestrade. He walks through the gallery with measured steps, examining the suspended corpse with clinical detachment. When he encounters Sherlock studying the blood-written message, the air seems to crystallize around them. Mr. Holmes, I've heard so much about you. Sherlock turns slowly, and for a long moment, the two men simply stare at each other. It's Watson who later describes it as watching two predators size each other up, each recognizing in the other something fundamentally inhuman. Dr. Lecter, Sherlock replies, his voice carefully neutral. The psychiatric consultant. Tell me, what do you see when you look at this? Hannibal steps closer, so close that Sherlock can smell his cologne expensive, with notes of something else. Something organic. I see someone trying to communicate across a vast gulf of understanding, Hannibal says softly. Someone who believes that most of humanity is deaf and blind to beauty. Someone who has finally found an audience worthy of their work. And what do you think they want? Hannibal's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Recognition, appreciation, to be truly seen by someone capable of understanding. Don't you ever feel that way, Mr. Holmes? That terrible loneliness of intelligence. The question hangs in the air between them like a blade. Sherlock's eyes narrow. Are you profiling me, Doctor, or the killer? Is there a difference? Hannibal replies and walks away, leaving Sherlock with a creeping certainty that makes his skin crawl. He's just met the monster he's been hunting, but he can't prove it. Not yet. Descent into the abyss. The murders continue, each one more elaborate than the last. A banker found in his own vault, gold coins surgically embedded into his skin. A politician discovered in Parliament, their tongue removed and replaced with pages from their own legislation, force-fed until they choked. A priest found in his church, positioned as a crucified saint, his removed organs arranged around him in the pattern of the Stations of the Cross. Each crime scene is a masterwork of horror. Each one pushes the boundaries of what Sherlock thought possible, and each one comes with a personal message, always in that same elegant script. You're getting closer, Mr. Holmes. I can feel your mind touching mine across the void. Isn't it exhilarating? Sherlock knows it's Hannibal. Every instinct, every deduction points to the urbane psychiatrist. But Hannibal's alibis are perfect. He's always in the right place at the right time, always with witnesses, always beyond reproach. It's as if he exists in multiple places simultaneously, or as if the murders are being committed by a ghost. The truth is worse. Hannibal has been preparing for this confrontation for years, cultivating relationships, building a network of obligations and secrets. He doesn't need to physically commit every murder himself. He has patience, damaged souls he's carefully shaped into extensions of his will. They kill for him, following his precise instructions, while he maintains the perfect facade of innocence. But Sherlock is closing in, and Hannibal knows it. That's when the game escalates. John Watson disappears on a Tuesday. He leaves Baker Street to fetch groceries and never returns. Sherlock finds his friend's phone on the doorstep, screen displaying a single message. Your friend is safe. For now, but Mr. Holmes, I'm growing concerned about your mental state. Perhaps you should seek professional help. I know an excellent psychiatrist. The address that follows is for Hannibal's office. The Spider's parlor. Sherlock arrives at midnight, his usual composure cracked and bleeding. Hannibal waits in his office, the room lit by candlelight that casts dancing shadows on the walls. Between them, on a silver serving tray, sits a covered dish. Please, sit. Hannibal gestures to the chair across from his desk. We have so much to discuss. Where is he? Safe, as I promised. Unlike you, Mr. Holmes, I don't lie. I simply curate the truth. Hannibal lifts the cover from the serving tray, revealing an elaborate meal. You've been neglecting yourself. Eat. I'm not hungry. Hunger is irrelevant. This is about civilization, about maintaining the rituals that separate us from beasts. Hannibal's eyes gleam. Or do you consider yourself above such things? You, who claim to be a high-functioning sociopath. You, who's killed when it suited your purposes. Sherlock doesn't move. Hannibal sighs. Your friend is in the building below us. There's a basement level not on any blueprint. He's quite comfortable, actually. I've given him books, food, even his beloved laptop. He's writing about this experience, you know. He always did have a flair for the dramatic. What do you want? Want. Hannibal leans back, fingers steepled. I want what I've wanted since I first read about you, Mr. Holmes. I want to know if you're real. If that brilliant mind is genuine, or just another fraud hiding behind tricks and showmanship. I've given you a gifter series of puzzles designed specifically for you, and you've performed admirably. But now comes the true test. He slides a folder across the desk. Inside are photographs of people Sherlock knows. Mrs. Hudson, Lestrade, Molly Hooper, his brother, Mycroft. By dawn, 3 of these people will be dead unless you can stop it. I have 3 patients, each triggered by a specific phrase I've embedded in their psyche. They're scattered across London, each preparing to kill. You can't alert the police. My contacts there will warn me, and the killing will start immediately. You can't contact your brother. I'm watching him already. You have only your mind, your deductions, your vaunted genius. Hannibal stands, moving to the window. Find the pattern, Mr. Holmes. Save who you can. But know this, I've designed this scenario so that no matter what you do, at least one person you care about will die tonight. You'll have to choose who lives and who dies. You'll have to become exactly what you claim to be, a man who makes impossible calculations, who places logic above sentiment, who sacrifices the few for the many. And if I refuse to play, then everyone dies, including Dr. Watson. Hannibal turns, his smile terrible in its sincerity. The game begins now. The clock is ticking. Show me who you really are, Sherlock Holmes. Show me if you're worthy of my attention, or if you're just another disappointment. The impossible choice. Sherlock's mind races, assembling data with terrifying speed. The photographs, the people, their locations, their habits, everything forms a pattern. He sees it, the elegant cruelty of Hannibal's design. The 3 patients, the 3 locations, the 3 potential victims. But there's something else, a flaw in the design. Something Hannibal didn't account for because, for all his brilliance, he doesn't understand what makes Sherlock different from him. Hannibal believes Sherlock is a sociopath, that he'll make cold, calculated choices. But Sherlock's greatest lie is his self-proclaimed sociopathy. Beneath the armor of logic and deduction beats a heart that feels too much, cares too deeply, and has built walls of rationality to protect itself from that pain. Sherlock stands, his movements deliberate. You made a mistake, Dr. Lecter. Impossible. I've accounted for every variable. You accounted for the Sherlock Holmes you wanted to find, the mirror image of yourself. But you fundamentally misunderstood who I am. Sherlock's voice is steady now, the trembling gone. You believe I'm like you, disconnected, inhuman, capable of cold calculation without remorse. But that's your limitation, not mine. You can't imagine any other way to be brilliant. Elaborate. Your 3 patients. You chose them carefully damaged, vulnerable, easy to manipulate. But you had to tell them their targets in advance. You had to program them with specific triggers, which means they've been thinking about these murders, obsessing over them, radiating psychological distress in ways you couldn't fully control. Sherlock pulls out his phone, showing a series of texts. My homeless network, my eyes across London, they've been reporting unusual behavior for days. A man staking out Mrs. Hudson's flat. A woman following Lestrade. Someone asking questions about Molly at the morgue. I knew someone was planning something. I just didn't know who until now. Hannibal's expression doesn't change, but something shifts in his eyes. Interest, respect, perhaps even concern. The police are already moving in. Sherlock continues. I sent them everything 5 minutes before I walked in here. Your patients will be apprehended before they can act. Your network of alibis will be exposed. And most importantly, every conversation in this office for the past year has been recorded. Impossible. I sweep for devices daily, not devices. Architecture. Sherlock allows himself a small smile. This building has copper pipes throughout. Copper conducts sound beautifully. Mycroft had sensors installed months ago in the building next door, turning your entire office into a microphone. We've recorded every consultation, every confession you've extracted from vulnerable patients, every piece of incriminating evidence, including this conversation. For the first time, Hannibal's mask cracks. Just slightly. The predator realizes the trap has closed, not around his prey, but around himself. You see, Dr. Lecter, you fundamentally misunderstood the game. You thought this was about proving unlike you. But I've been proving the opposite. I'm not a sociopath. I'm not inhuman. I'm simply someone who uses logic as a tool while never forgetting why it matters. You kill because people are things to you. I solve crimes because people are everything to me. The sound of sirens echoes through the London night. Hannibal stands perfectly still, and for a long moment, the two men stare at each other across an unbridgeable gulf. Brilliant, Hannibal whispers, and there's genuine admiration in his voice. You were playing a longer game than I realized. You let me think I was in control while you built a cage around me. Magnificent. Where's Watson? Basement level, third door on the left. He's unharmed, as promised. I may be a monster, Mr. Holmes, but I keep my word. The door bursts open. Armed police flood the room. Hannibal doesn't resist as they place him in handcuffs. But as they lead him away, he looks back at Sherlock one final time. This isn't over, you know. They can cage my body, but my mind will always be free. And I'll be thinking about you, Sherlock Holmes, always, wondering what you could have become if you'd embraced what you really are. I know exactly what I am, Sherlock replies softly. I'm the man who stopped you. The aftermath, John Watson, is found exactly where Hannibal said he would be, shaken but unharmed. The three potential victims are saved. Hannibal's patients are apprehended and given the psychological help they desperately need. The evidence is overwhelming, and even Hannibal's expensive lawyers can't save him from life imprisonment in a facility for the criminally insane. But as Sherlock stands in Baker Street weeks later, watching the rain paint patterns on his window, he can't shake the feeling that something fundamental has changed. He beat Hannibal, yes, outsmarted him, but in doing so, he looked into an abyss that looked back, and what he saw disturbed him in ways he can't quite articulate. You all right? John asks, handing him a cup of tea. He was wrong about me, Sherlock says quietly, but not entirely. There's a part of me that understood him, that saw the elegance in his designs, the brilliance in his madness. A part of me that was engaged by the challenge in a way that frightens me. But you stopped him. That's what matters, is it? Sherlock turns from the window. I stopped him this time, but there will be others, and each time I'll have to walk that line between understanding evil and becoming it. Hannibal showed me something about myself I wish I didn't know, which is that the capacity for darkness exists in all of us. The only difference is choice. He chose to embrace it. I choose to fight it. But the fact that I had to choose means the possibility exists. John is quiet for a moment. Then he places a hand on Sherlock's shoulder. You're not him. You never could be. Because you're standing here, worrying about this. He never would. Sherlock nods, but his eyes remain haunted. Somewhere in a maximum security hospital, Hannibal Lecter sits in his cell, smiling, thinking about the game that never truly ends. Thinking about Sherlock Holmes, waiting, always waiting, because in the darkest corners of both their minds, in that place where genius touches madness, they both know the truth. They're not finished with each other. Not by a long shot. The rain continues to fall on London, washing the streets clean. But some stains, Sherlock knows, never truly wash away. Some encounters mark you forever, changing the landscape of your soul in ways both terrifying and irreversible. He picks up his violin and begins to play. The music that emerges is haunting, beautiful, and tinged with something that sounds almost like mourning. For innocence lost, 4 lines crossed, for the burden of looking into the abyss and seeing, reflected back, a distorted version of oneself, John Watson listens and understands. His friend has won. But victory, in this case, came at a cost neither of them could have anticipated. Outside, in the darkness, London breathes, and somewhere in that darkness, other monsters wait, patient and hungry, watching for the brilliant minds that might understand them. The game, as Sherlock knows all too well, never truly ends. It only evolves.